Welcome to the Davis Star Experience. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Davis Star Experience. And this morning, I'm coming to you to report that the tribal chief, YTC, OTC, the champ, has come home. In case you missed it last night, if you don't like wrestling, this probably isn't the episode of the Davis Star Experience for you. But because I like to cover all sports, what the heck? So on last night's Raw, for those of you who missed it, this guy came back actually in the middle of the scheduled cage match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Lots of curb stomps, lots of GTSs, a couple of elbows, and then later, as Mr. Rollins is standing by the cage door, wide open for some reason, Mr. Reigns decided to make his appearance and snatched Mr. Rollins outside of the cage like an episode of Body Snatchers. I mean, he grabbed Seth by the collar and wrapped his arm around that man's neck and drug him out of the ring and pretty much slung him halfway across. So where the barrier is, where you're coming from the steps on the hard camera side and you're kind of walking down towards the announce table. So think about the distance between each ring post the long way. The way that he practically threw him, Seth landed pretty much halfway down the aisle between where the curve starts for the ring girl or the timekeeper's table, halfway up the aisleway. That's how hard Roman practically yanked Seth out of that ring. And then the beatdown started. He beat Seth Rollins' ass last night. Beat the tar out of him. Curb stomped him. All that. Spears, Superman punches. Seth got hit with more finishers last night than I could recall in one night. He hit that man with about 2-3 Superman punches, I think, a spear, and a curb stomp. But that's not what got my attention. This is what got my attention. Uh-huh. I'll wait. boy. Oh boy. I bet Seth Rollins is probably glad he's not the only target right now. I bet you that man is glad he is out of the crosshairs right now. I mean, he's still gonna get that ass whooping after what he did at Mania, but at least he's not the only one that pissed off Roman. So yeah, this was the most intriguing part about last night because when Roman came out, he yanked Seth out of the ring, beat the hell out of him on the outside of the ring. Then he just so happened to, as they were trying to stop him, hang on, let me see if I can find that photo. I can't preview none of these, so I'm just kind of going through them at. Hold on, let's see. Timoni, how was that one? I literally put that together like 15 minutes before this thing started. So the remix, yes, I created the remix. So yeah, yeah, I see your comment now. Aw, aw, that's cute. Yeah, I put that. Okay, I don't know why it just did that, but it literally just kicked me off for no reason. So, but I'm back now. So yeah, if you hear like a long pause, it probably just booted me off, but that's okay. I'll edit this later. Um, but yeah, I put that together in a couple minutes and then just decided to go live. So yes, he did. He definitely ended that match. That was yeah. Ooh, wow. I know one thing, I'm sleepy. He didn't yank him out. He yeeted him out of that cage. Seth had to. You know what that moment was when they showed the camera outside the ring, where they showed Seth looking up and realizing who it was. Because remember, Seth did not see Roman coming, and I peeped what they did. Something happened because all of a sudden the camera went real tight in on Roman. I mean on Seth. And Seth is just sitting there and I'm wondering like, okay, normally when you hear the crowd, the director in the truck usually tells the camera guy, hey, there's something going on. Pan the camera to, and then he'll tell him, pan the camera to the ramp or pan the camera to the crowd, or they'll buy a couple of seconds to try to do the whole where are they coming through the crowd type of thing, kind of like how Jay does. But at least now we know where he's coming out at. and they make an appeal to get the kids to come over and eat with them and whatnot. But usually the director will say, "Hey, pan over to such and such. We got so and so in the crowd, or so and so's over there. We want to get the shot in." But usually that's like a forewarned thing. So when it happens, it's like instantaneous. We know who it is. But the way that they panned that camera in really tight and then held it there while the crowd was screaming their heads off, something didn't go right, in my opinion. Something went a little bit, because that tight camera angle was just way too long for me. So that tells me something. Maybe Roman got hung up on the intro or whatever, but he did. It took him a minute to get down there, because, like I said, that for him to come up on that cage was crazy. Unless they did that intentionally to have him kind of like stalk Seth and then yank him out. I want to see the camera, like maybe another camera, probably 10 seconds beforehand. But no, he he definitely did yeet him out. There was no getting around that. But yeah, the way he looked up at Roman Reigns as if God just walked in the room. He looked up at him like God just walked in, sat down, and asked him for a cup of coffee. Like, uh-oh. And then he proceeded to beat him. The look on Seth's face was very similar, in my opinion, to the look that Triple H had when he had that Survivor Series match and Braun Strowman tried to choke the life out of him. I wonder how that would go over today. That's another missed opportunity. Braun Strowman was such a missed opportunity. He has turned into the Big Show 2.0. Yep, I'm sorry. He has turned into Big Show 2.0, and here's why. The man is so big and so monstrous, and now with him putting on a little more weight and a little, see the it's weird because now you see him move and it's like, okay, he's not really, eh, it would be kind of easy to beat him. He's kind of like the Jolly Green Giant now. He's got the same problem that Kali had. Kali's knees was just bad, and he couldn't move, and that really hampered his gimmick. When you started realizing all I got to do is run circles around him and kick him in his ankles, and I'll win. But no, with that whole thing, it's gonna be interesting. Um, with Roman. But yeah, Roman, the way that he looked up at Roman before Roman started taking chunks out of his flesh was the same look that Triple H had when he went up against Braun Strowman's big ass. And Braun tried to choke the life out of him in the Survivor Series a couple years back. That's the same look. So my thing is, there's definitely their match, in my opinion, has to be at Mania. It would be great to have a three-way match, but in my opinion, and this is going to be very unpopular with a lot of people, so I'm sorry in advance. But if you're going to finish this rivalry at WrestleMania, if you're going to finish a rivalry, it's gotta be Roman Rollins. Gotta be. It's gotta be Roman Rollins, and they've gotta go at a minimum 45 minutes to an hour. I'm talking that's got to be damn near main event. That's got to be damn near main event caliber. If you're gonna have Roman and Rollins finish this little blood feud they have, And no doubt, this is a blood feud. This is a feud that's been going on for years. For years, Roman has been. I find it funny. Roman's technically the only guy in the Shield that didn't turn their back on the group. Think about it. Wait a minute. Seth turned on Roman, and then Dean turned on Seth. Roman's the only one that was like, screw it, I'm in it for the long haul. Seth turned around and smacked Roman in the back with that chair. And then years later, the same night that we found out that Roman had leukemia and he had to step away, Dean Ambrose hit Seth Rollins with the dirty deeds on the championship belt while they were the tag team champions. That's wild, man. But yeah, this blood feud between Roman and Seth has to come to an end. And I think if they do this right, it's gonna come to an end at WrestleMania. WrestleMania gimmick match, ambulance match, Hell in a Cell. I'm praying it's Hell in a Cell. I think that would be the first. I'm trying to think, and I can't recall a actual WrestleMania Hell in a Cell match. I think that would probably be the first. Probably that would be the first ever WrestleMania match of Hell in a Cell. If you're gonna save a match like that, it's got to be Hell in a Cell in Vegas. Seth Roman Hell in a Cell to end the feud, and I'm talking. It's got to close. It's gonna have to close out night two. But when I tell you they've got to get some steam rolling with this feud, they've got to have these two beating the hell out of each other all the way until WrestleMania. They got to make this some Rock Austin stuff. It's got to be that personal. Rock Austin, the trilogy, make it personal. These guys have been up and down the road together, betrayals, championship success. Seth and Roman are now in two different points in their lives where both of them are trying to fight to gain the same thing. So now it has to be, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be made very, very personal. Wow, my comment section's going nuts. All right, hold on. Uh, Let me see. The look on Seth's face, I can't talk. The look on Seth's face was all like, it sure was. Right. Heyman looked all scared. You know what? I kind of jumped around a little bit. Set up a fatal three-way at Mania. Heyman being the wild card. I text you my ideas on that in real time. Yeah, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, um, and technically it's a fatal four-way. This would just be considered a triple threat. But in ECW used to call it the three-way dance. For some reason, WWE never did that. I never understood why they never called it the three-way dance. In ECW, when it would be three people, as a matter of fact, I want to say they're the ones that really made it popular. They've done three ways before, I believe, in pro wrestling, but I think ECW really started like making the triple threat matches really popular to the point where it used to be they used to call them the three-way dance. What was one three-way dance that I remember? I want to say it was Sabu, Dreamer, and Raven or something. It was one of them deals. Raven was involved in a bunch of them. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, ECW used to be really, really big on the three ways. Um, because they had like so many guys that were main events and whatnot. Sandman, Dreamer, Sab. Well, Dreamer won the title for all of maybe 3.5 minutes, and that's not even an exaggeration. He literally had the title for 3 minutes. But yeah, the feud with him and Raven that's never talked about. That's never discussed among people that are WWE diehards. Like, but yeah, I back to Roman. I think they're going to set that up. That little three-way at Mania idea. Yeah. you are now my Dewey. You have my They didn't let Seth know what was going on. I don't think many of them knew except for OTC and Trips. That's possible. But you know what? No, I don't even care what they're doing. They are doing the one thing that I said years ago. I wish I still had uh my old Twitter account because I will go over there and show you where I posted back in 2014. I said WWE are going to have to start doing long-term storytelling again because eventually they're going to go really, really stale and stagnant with these 3, 4 week build-ups to lame ass programs, just like Chris Jericho and Fandango, just like Austin and Brock. You don't put. I mean, let me back up. Let me take Fandango out of it. That's a bad comparison. So put it this way. All right, check it out. You've got feuds that you could put together and you can start, but you can't just have a match between several guys just to build a storyline that won't have an impactful ending. Who knew that Austin and Rock would go from, think about it, Austin and Rock came into the WWE. Rock was pretty much born in it. He had a contract when he came out his mama's womb. But then you have Austin, who came from WCW, got fired over the phone. Infamous story. Eric Bischoff sent them, fired him over the phone, sent them a FedEx, whatever. So you have both of these guys that are coming into the WWE trying to make their mark. Studying Steve Austin, Rocky Maivia. Both of them now have reached an apex where they're both sort of in the mid card, but they have potential to jump up to the main. Rock perfects his Rocky Maivia character. Chants like "Die Rocky Die" and "Rocky Sucks," catapulting him to the stratosphere. Austin winning the King of the Ring behind Triple H and the Clicks Madison Square Garden incident. Triple H, well-known story, was supposed to win the King of the Ring, but because of the incident at Madison Square Garden where the Click exposed the business, quote unquote, all of a sudden now Austin gets picked to win the Rumble. And him winning that Rumble and saying Austin 316 shot him to the stratosphere. But for those that don't know, Rocky and Austin started out feuding over the Intercontinental title and had a well written, well drawn out, well constructed feud for the Intercontinental title before Austin pretty much got the nod and shot up into the title picture. And then Rock came and he did his thing to get his WWE title. And then both of them started feuding throughout the years in various iterations and created a masterpiece of a feud that was written so well. This feud between Roman and Seth Rollins needs that type of build up. You have other feuds in the company that need not as big a build up, but a build up. Something that isn't just a 3 week or a 4 week build up or a month to month thing. That's what Vince was trying to do, was build feuds from month to month. Build up a feud for a month, have a couple guys go on Raw and SmackDown talking their trash, and then they meet up at a pay-per-view. And then it's like they just move on to something else. There were a few guys that were able to have feuds stick, like Cena and Edge. That feud stuck, you know, and went on for years and actually had a nice little come to Jesus moment when Brock was going through and tearing everybody up. And Cena was the guy that had to stop him, and Edge had to come and do the little heartwarming moment where he verbally slapped John Cena back into reality, and John turned into the Terminator at the next pay per view and slayed the beast with considerable effort, might I add. But WWE has had feuds that have never really gone anywhere. That kind of just fizzle out, you know what I mean? And people get tired of the short-lived feuds, the ones that kind of just they have their conclusion and then that's it. It just doesn't go anywhere else. And ever since the miracle happened and they got rid of the old perv, it has been smooth sailing and the stories have been so captivating. There used to be times where I kind of saw the writing on the wall. You'd have a feud start and then you just look up a month later and the feud's gone. The feud's dead. No one's, invested in it. So you got to kind of wonder, like, what's the point of even getting invested into this? I'm just so glad that you know, they're getting a chance to really shine now with these feuds and make it personal. Let's see. Let me read the comments. OTC isn't a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just the guy. Yes, we did discuss that. Um, Roman is not a face nor a heel. Roman is the guy that goes out and does his thing. He goes out there and it's about a feud. There's no right, there's no wrong because both those competitors have been on the side of right and wrong before. You throw in CM Punk, who's literally the Chef Boyardee of handling a microphone, and now you've got three guys that can cook on the mic, three guys that can deliver in the ring. Well, two and a half if you count Punk damn near being a senior citizen, but you got guys that can go in there. All three of them are masters. Well, uh, yeah, I guess you can call Roman a master with the mic now. Seth has always been, he's been able to talk. Seth has always been able to talk. And then his personal thing with Punk is just makes it that more realistic. But then you have Roman who can kind of cut the tension by putting everything about himself. I love you, Roman, but you can be somewhat of a self-righteous prick sometimes. Um yeah, Roman Seth and CM Punk will definitely make a great WrestleMania match, but in my opinion, your money's going to be with Roman and Seth as the as at least the co-main, if not the main. I dare say this feud, if they make this feud personal enough to where people actually care more about it than Cody's belt, they really can make this the main and have Cody do the semi-main do his thing against Cena, and we'll kind of forget about it. Nope, you're wrong. It's gonna be a SummerSlam where it ends. Yeah. I don't want to see this feud with Roman and Seth drag on too much longer, especially with the opportunity to end it at the biggest show of them all. It's just kind of like now we want them to stretch it out for another. You really want to see this feud stretch out another year? Not unless you get Dean Ambrose back. I mean, eh, eh. You'd have to get Dean back. And it's all going to who gets Heyman because he's the wild card of Mania. Heyman's going to betray them and go to Seth. Nah, I don't know. I don't know. The three of Seth decision. Yeah, it is going to be an epic battle. But here's the catch, though. If they really want to make this deep like that, they need to make it to where neither three of these guys touch each other from now until WrestleMania. Make that a stipulation. So now people are literally going to have to pay to see them fight. They are literally going to have to pay to see these guys touch. Just like Taz and Sabu in ECW. They did not touch each other for an entire year. And when they had their payoff match, oh, it was everything we wanted and more. I think you mean Maven. No. I'm thinking about EC. I think you're talking about when I was talking about ECW. Um, and how no. So in ECW, Tommy Dreamer was the he was a face because I know you don't know too much about ECW, but he was the baby face. Raven was the heel. You know who Raven is. And the way that they crafted that storyline was these guys were rivals from literally from like grade school. They were doing hammer locks and drop kicks in daycare, the way that they kind of explained it. But somewhere along the line something happened with Raven and he became this psychotic emo character and started quoting all type of books and doing DDTs on Tommy Dreamer in school, beating him up and bullying him and all that other stuff. And then they both became professional wrestlers. And Tommy Dreamer always wanted to win the World Heavyweight Championship, the ECW Championship. And finally, he did it. But when he did it, he finally won the title. I forget who exactly it was, but somebody challenged him to. It might have been just incredible or not Chris Hero. I forget the dude's name. Starts with a C. Candy, not Candido. Dang it. Starts with a C. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh shoot. Carino. Steve Carino. I think Steve Carino came in the ring, challenged him for the title. He didn't even get a chance to put the title on, and then he lost the belt and never won it back. I actually found out just yesterday that apparently he went when they did the ECW relaunch. He actually won the belt one night, and it was supposed to be a rib, but they were like, "Here, Tommy's going over. Let's give him the belt before they change their minds." And he was able to win the ECW title for a second time. But yeah, yeah, no, that's where I got that story from. Was they did that in ECW where they had him win the title for all of maybe 3 minutes, and then he won it. Then he lost it again. That's where they actually got that idea from when they did the Hardcore Championship, where you could literally lose the title 10 seconds after you win it. And they had poor Crash Holly running around. Rest in peace to Mike Lockwood. Um, they had Crash running through hotel rooms and getting beat up. God, they filmed segments. When I tell you, he made that hardcore division so fun to watch because it was so comedic. The hardcore championship was so funny because it was literally the 24/7 title before the 24/7 title existed. All these young fans out here don't know what hardcore rules was. Guys would be shown getting out of the airport with the belt, and then a referee just comes walking by, and another guy comes up behind him, rolls him up, takes the title, and runs away. Then in the same segment, in the same show, somebody else will walk over and then knock him in the head with something, pin him, win the title, run away. Crash would pop up again wearing a clown outfit, knock somebody in the head with a trash can, pin him, take the title, and run off. Didn't I just remembered something? There was a segment, and I'm gonna try to remember where I saw it. But there was a segment where they were all on an overseas flight. WWE had an overseas flight somewhere. I want to say it was their European tour. And if I remember correctly, they filmed it where somebody, I want to say it was Maven or one of the hardcore guys. There was a group of guys who basically they all swapped the 24/7 the hardcore title back and forth with each other on like a weekly basis. Some of these guys would be hardcore champion for literally an hour, and then from hour 1 to 3 they'd be hard. They'd be from 1 hour 1 to 2 they'd be hardcore champion, and then from 2 to 3 somebody else would beat them for it. But I remember there was a segment where one of the guys was on a plane and you saw a referee creep up with the wrestler, and the wrestler lifted up the guy's hat, lifted up Crash's hat to see if he was asleep. I want to say he beat Crash, but as they were on the airplane, the guy walks up with the referee. Ah, God, who was it? I cannot remember who that was. It was somebody. He walked up and basically the referee's like 1, 2, 3. And then I think he wins the belt and then a fight breaks out and they chasing each other through the plane. It was so funny. I have to stitch it to this video when I do it on the playback. But yeah, that hardcore division was so entertaining to watch. Watching that 24/7 rule. Guys would be going through Chuck E. Cheese, going through a drive-through, uh, chilling at the movies with their girlfriend. I'm trying to think of some of the funnier segments, the more creative ones. Oh, who was it? I think the ESPN mascots got in on it. Um, one of the wrestlers dressed up as somebody. Uh, they dressed up in a Halloween costume. The Halloween episodes were freaking fantastic because they would have people, they would literally market it like you can't go anywhere because somebody could be standing around with a in a costume. Poor Crash Holly. I guarantee you, they had that man running for his life every single taping the way that he was running around with that damn title. running from one place to the other. Oh my god. Poor Crash Holly. He had no life. His life was literally wrestle on an event and then have to look over your shoulder during the event because you were worried about somebody knocking you upside your head with a trash can lid, taking your belt after you just defended it. For all my newer fans, it was kind of like Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank concept, but turned on its head. Like he could literally wrestle a match and then just get beat for the title because it was a 24/7 rule. Then they redid the 20. I really hope they got rid of that 24/7 title. Don't ever bring that belt back again. Never bring it back. Don't ever bring that belt back ever again. Because in my opinion, that belt kind of made the 24/7. It kind of made the hardcore title feel worthless. Like the whole heart. The 24/7 concept just dumb. Like why call it the 24/7 title? You could have just called it the hardcore title. I don't know. I kind of hope they get back to that now. Like now that you got to deal with Netflix, you can actually take some chances and have some you have some real creative fun with some of these titles, with some of these concepts. But sorry, I got off on a tangent. But back to Mr. Reigns. Yeah, after he got finished mollywopping Seth like a ping pong ball outside the ring, he just so happens to look over and see this. CM Punk being comforted by the wise man. And then he proceeded to walk in the ring and beat the piss out of him. Beat him senseless. Let me check out my comments. Who do you think is the American made luchador? I'll be honest with you. I really haven't been paying attention to anything Chad Gable has been doing. I really don't. I think that American made gimmick has gotten really stale really quickly. They waited to pull the trigger on the popularity of Chad Gable, and now they're paying for it because they have nothing for him to do other than this luchador thing. So what are they going to do? Have him do the whole Heath Slater deal and start challenging all your incoming popular international luchadors? Is that what you're is that the direction that we're going with Chad Gable now? He's going to start putting over other international talent when WWE have a stud in Chad Gable and should be pushing him towards a world title of some sort. I don't even care if you have him start chasing which call him around Braun for the Intercontinental title, but this is kind of like a pointless gimmick to me. This whole luchador thing. I don't really is that your way, Triple H, of trying to entice some of these international talents to sign up with WWE so you'll get a chance to wrestle a guy like Chad Gable, given what we know what he can do in the ring. I mean, Kurt Angle 2.0, I don't know. Like I guess this is their I guess this is their opportunity to kind of start to really push their Latino Mexican market because I know they've been trying to really make an impact in Mexico and trying to scoop up a lot of their Mexican talent. That would be a chance for them to really do something as far as having a foothold in Mexico for some of their young prospects. Plus, all of them are going to be inspired by Eddie. So, eh, I don't know. I don't know. I really haven't even been. I kind of loosely follow the whole with Gable thing with Gable. I know that there's something about him. He's doing some type of gimmick, like he's supposed to be challenging luchadors and whatnot. So I don't know. Have Mox sitting ringside totally as a spectator, then give OTC a slight nod and miracle satisfaction at the end of the match to walk out, no words exchange. Eh, none of those ECW names mean a thing to me. I know. I know. I know. Those ECW days. Actually, I'm gonna have to start sending you you see how they went and redid the WCW channel on YouTube? They didn't make an ECW channel so we could teach some of y'all about the history of ECW. I can remember, God, I wish I could find them. I wish I knew where they were because I would find you old VHS tapes that I recorded of the weekly shows. Um, I call them the weekly recap shows. So Shotgun Saturday Night used to air on WGTV channel 48 every Saturday at, I want to say, noon. I think it was noon. It used to air, and that was a situation where um it would basically be like a recap show. So everything that happened on Raw, you could basically watch this on, because we a lot of people didn't have cable TV back in the 90s, especially like people in Philly, because we had Wade Cable, but Wade Cable started to get a little bit, pricey. So we couldn't really watch Raw. So we had, the only way I could really keep and keep up with everything was to watch the weekly show, which was Shotgun Saturday Night. Um, and until SmackDown came on, and they were airing on UPN, which was WGTW channel 4, no, UPN channel 57, WGTTV or something like that. I forget. I used to be really really good with the call letters. Anyway, um, yeah, I used to watch those and catch up on different events. Um, with those shows, those were my ways to watch, because I remember WCW had their worldwide show that would come on at 1 o'clock. I'm trying to remember, because Scout, I used to have to go to Boy Scouts and I hated it because I used to end up having to miss those shows. So what I would do is I started recording the WCW tape shows and then the um WWF shows. Well, ECW used to air at night, so I would normally miss the. I would sometimes miss the daily shows on Saturday, the recap shows, but then I could always catch ECW at night on Saturday night, and those nights were so fun because we got to see all the good stuff, all the raw material. Like nowadays, you'll see a lot of sanitized ECW content, depending on who has it. If WWE does use any of the ECW content, it's very watered down, so they can't. It when I was younger, when we were younger, when ECW was at the height of their success, using licensed music and whatnot, the roar of that crowd in that little tiny bingo hall, 4 miles from well, 6 miles from where I'm currently recording this video, was some of the loudest you've ever heard live. You walk outside that building on a Saturday night, ECW doing a show, the noise was incredible. God, that little bingo hall, man. That little bingo hall. But yeah, those matches when they started putting together cards and things like that, the one thing that I loved about it was that it was so raw and so uncut, and they aired it that way. But now, like I said, if WWE were to put some stuff on their network, it wouldn't be the same because nobody had rights to music. Fans were chanting some obscene stuff. So yeah, you can't really say uh that. Though, side note, I did hear I hope I'm right about this, but did I hear that New Jack is supposedly being included in one of the downloadable packs for WWE? I saw that yesterday and I was like, that can't be right. But I saw it again and I was like, could this be happening? Could we be getting a New Jack? Because to be honest, I don't know how they did it, but New Jack never signed a WWE contract. So I would imagine they had to have gone to his wife to get permission because they know good and damn well Jack wasn't doing that. Think about that for a second. I know this is totally unrelated to Roman Reigns, but I just gotta jump on this before I jump off here because I'm only gonna do like another 2 minutes. But think about this for a second. A guy who made his entire career a WWE bash fest, a Vince McMahon slaughterhouse, could now always was saying that he would never go to WWE because they would make him change who he was. And the one time that they offered him a contract, they wanted to retain the rights to the New Jack character. And New Jack told him to do some things that I can't mention on here. But he always said that he was never really big on, he just wanted to go be New Jack and he wasn't really concerned about the popularity and the boys and all that. For a guy that hated WWE so much, he possibly could be his family could be the benefactor behind all of his insane shit if they write one check behind this video game if they put him on. I really need people to think about the gravity of what I just said. I really want people to really think about what I just said. Can you imagine being New Jack's family member, New Jack's widow, having to have possibly raised money to bury him? I mean, I don't know the finances of the situation, but knowing that your husband has said some rather vile, horrible things about this company, and WWE being like, yo, Jack made history. We want to honor him. They can't include when I tell you that is going to be one dry ass created character. His downloadable pack won't even have. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna do that. They can't put no footage of him on there, so it's like, what the hell? So I don't know. Um, I'm sorry, I kind of went off topic, but Roman Reigns is back. He came back. He beat the piss out of Seth Rollins, then turned around, beat the piss out of CM Punk. Damn near gave um damn near gave Paul Heyman a heart attack. But everybody knows he's back, which is I think gonna kick jumpstart their road to WrestleMania push for him and Seth. Yeah, they're gonna jumpstart that feud right away. Get him and Seth going to lead up to Mania because they got 40 days or however many days to get that story rolling so we can reach its climax. Um, my question is, how do you factor in CM Punk in that equation? Do you kind of start to slowly slide him out of the way and make it more geared for Seth and Roman? Or do you bring him in and make it a three-way? I don't think that's really appropriate for Mania unless it's a gimmick match. I just don't see it. There would have to be something on the line for them to put them three in a ring. I don't really see the point of it. Somebody in that group would have to be like, all right, this fight ain't with me. I got other things to do. I just don't see them devoting one guy to having enough animosity in his body to devote it to two separate people, knowing that there's a title out there that they could be chasing. I just don't see that being a viable scenario in this instance, or at least one that makes sense to the casual wrestling viewer. Like, these two guys hate each other, but oh, there's this third guy that hates the both of them, but he's a heel. He easily could just walk away from the situation. So it's like you got the perfect dynamic. You got Roman, who's not a baby face or a heel. You got Seth Rollins, who's kind of on one. He's kind of straddling the fence between being an asshole and being vengeful. And then you got CM Punk just don't give a shit. So, uh, yeah, see that makes the dynamic very very interesting because now Punk is gonna go out there. He's mad about what happened with Cena. He's mad about Rock. Now he's got to be mad about Roman and Roman and Seth Rollins. Yo, CM Punk is he's literally pissed off about four different people right now. So that's gonna be interesting to see him settle up in about 40 days with all of them. Though I don't think Rock's gonna really be involved physically at Mania. I don't see that happening. But yeah, let me see. Hold on. Let's see. I've seen documentaries about ECW, but at that time I was a total WWF girl, and to watch ECW was tantamount to being a traitor. You know, there's a funny story about Jerry Lawler. Actually, you know who could actually tell you this story better than I could? Your good old buddy Jim Cornette. I'm going to send you the video. Matter of fact, I'm going to tag it into this one. When this video uploads, I'm going to redo the video and then I'm going to post it on I'm going to post it on YouTube. I'm going to redo this video. But what ended up happening was to a, a greater effect. They had a gimmick where Jerry Lawler was supposed to hate ECW. And believe it or not, both of them hate hardcore wrestling. Jerry Lawler despises hardcore wrestling. If you were a WWF girl or anybody was a WWF person back in the day, you remember when Jerry Lawler used to cut those promos and he used to talk about how ECW was the shits and ECW was horrible, extremely crappy wrestling. He would make all the Ethiopian jokes and all the horrible puns and things like that when it came to ECW. Well, um, I'm trying to remember. I remember they did a segment where he kind of disappeared. He talked his little trash, and then he showed up one night during the ECW taping and beat up, who was it? Tommy Dreamer and Sandman, or Sat? No, Tommy Dreamer and Sandman. Um, they were in the ring beating people up, and then all of a sudden you see Jerry Lawler with a kendo stick beating the heck out of somebody, and then RVD and Sabu showed up because I think RVD and Sabu were ECW guys, but they had signed a contract, I think, with Vince. Um, but yeah, it was Lawler, and then one week Jim Cornette showed up, or that could have been the same night. I think the same night Jim Cornette showed up, the lights went dead, and then Jerry Lawler showed up, and he talked about that story. He also talked about how Dennis Corluzzo had an issue with the ECW title, and Shane Douglas threw the belt in the garbage, and I mean threw the belt down on the ground and denounced the NWA. Cornette was involved in that too, and they touched on ECW stuff when they did the docu. When they did the docu on the slimy, used corrupt defense lawyer Heyman. I told you how they are going to do it when I text you last night in real time. Yeah, you did. You did. You did. I think they're going to make this. It's almost sad when you think about it because now this feud between Roman and Seth Rollins eventually has to come to an end. It's gonna have to come to an end. In my opinion, I think Roman gets his revenge on Seth for Seth cracking him in the back with that chair, and then Seth goes away for a while. I say you give Seth Rollins at least 6 months off. Give him a chance to heal his body, heal his mind, and then come back fresh. Roman Roman should have took the damn year. I would have gave Roman at least 8 months. I think that's what's going to start happening too, because of the depth of talent now that they have coming up. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see guys start taking like off months at a time, especially for guys that are able to have longevity. Like, look at guys like Miz. Miz almost never gets hurt, and that guy wrestles all the time, always on the go. I can't remember the last time I heard of Miz getting injured. As far as I'm concerned, they need to count that as count time. Like, all right, Miz, you took a little time off or whatever, but we want to give you time off and we're gonna pay you for it. Like, look, you put your body through a lot. Here's 4 months. Go be with your family. That's what I think they're gonna end up doing. Because I remember they were talking about when TKO and Endeavor took over, when they kind of wrestled the keys away from Vince. They basically were telling the talent that better days are coming. Once everything gets sorted out, people are going to start being able to take time off. Like, I know they basically gave them the Christmas holiday. they were like, we're gonna film a couple of shows, but everybody had off for the Christmas holiday and Thanksgiving too. So it's a great thing to see that WWE's now in safe hands. But I'm David Starr. I love y'all. Be good or be good at it. I will see you on the other side.
Welcome to the David Starr Experience.